Rebecca, the mother hen. Curious what she's going to offer us. So, relationship status. Ooh, she's a minus with Ashton. Damn. And she's also not up to date with Isabella. So we have to go work on that one. What can you learn about a journal? Steals the profiles. And then now we have Rebecca. So of the Scottish descent, she grew up in Luxbourne and even went to school in Sincoretti. Her parents were professors of European history and Southeast Asian history at Luxbourne University. They were often busy and that forced Rebecca to be independent early on. Surrounded by books and instilled with love for learning, she was a star pupil and was often called a teacher's pet for it. Her passion for academics, leading to a career in the industry, was to be expected of her. She came out of her shell in her high school years and started becoming the spitfire she is now. Before then, Ashton was her only friend, though she found him aggravating at first. Independent and used to taking care of others, it was no surprise when she helped out a young foreigner who moved in next door. 2 times because who that was. Right, let's continue. This is how it begins, as so they say, with a gentle wind drifting through the wide open windows, muffled laughters and footsteps fading behind empty hallways, and the light kiss of the afternoon sun. Soon there'll be a call, a crossing of the threshold into the unknown. Maybe we are after some grand adventure, or diving into another gripping mystery. One can't really tell. For all I know, a hero might even come sweep me off my feet, if I'm lucky.
That's not exactly a bad thing when you think about it.
But this is far from one, isn't it? A riveting tale it is. The mild breeze, the faint murmurs, the warm rays painting every nook and cranny a fiery hue. They are all as real as they can get. As much as I want to write a little tale out of this, I'm far from someone who can. Fleeting fancies, that's what these are. Merely passing thoughts to occupy an idle mind while waiting for another busy work day to end. Then again, maybe another life. I am one. Who knows? But at present, what I have and what I've chosen to be, well...
I won't last years here if I find teaching rowdy adolescents a tedious job, will I?
Admittedly, the whole affair isn't exactly as grand or exciting as I had imagined as a child. If I weren't so stubborn and too passionate about the whole idea, I probably would have quit a long time ago. But it's always the kids that make it worthwhile, isn't it? As if in agreement, as soon as my pen slides into a neat circle against the papers I'm creating, the final bell rings. Like a dam that has opened, students begin piling out into the hallway soon after. For a short minute, I let the noise fill my ears. My mind wandered to a place far removed from all the hubbub. Solitary moments like this have come few and far between lately. Even my own home hasn't been as quiet as usually I prefer. So, in hindsight, the entire place hasn't been the same either, since Isabel moved next door. And if her fussing over a minor call last week tells anything, I might as well throw any idea of solitude out the nearest balcony, so long as she lives nearby. In memory, my eyes automatically shift over the bottle sitting on the edge of my desk. A chuckle escaped from me as I reached for it.
A little ball of energy and enthusiasm. That big baby.
Mother hen, she calls me, and then says and does the same thing right after. It's not that I'm used to being on the receiving end of other people's worries, or I feel any sort of apprehension over her fretting. If I am to be completely honest, it's actually amusing how someone can be childlike one minute, then act like a responsible adult the next. But there's a discordance there, both in her actions and words. Although she may not look like it, may not say anything, may not lose her cheer one way or another, I know these troubles have weighed down on her lately. Her face is all that big numpty. If she thinks I won't notice, she's got another thing coming for her. That's how she has always been. I do understand that part, loud and clear. It's just that I may not pass another burden on to her.
Or become one myself.
Aren't I supposed to be the one taking care of them? So I guess it's simply one of those things people eventually grow away from once you've all started leading different lives. Not completely different, I hope. Somehow that thought makes me feel uneasy. Thankfully, before stranger ideas can take root in my head, a faint buzzing comes from my back, cutting through the rest of my thoughts. A small frown forms in my lips when the screen lights up. Then a number flashes. For a long second, my thumb hovers over the answer button. If the voice that responds, once I do accept the call, is wholly unfamiliar.
Hello?
Oh, goodness. Finally, it connects. Hello? Is this Miss Gales? Rebecca Gales?
Yes, speaking. Who is this?
Oh, sorry. Rose Cooper. Briar Realty Corporation.
Briar Realty?
My frown deepens as I straighten from a chair. Something in her tone, despite sounding remarkably friendly and light, doesn't sit quite well with me. The rigid pause that follows doesn't help ease the tension that has suddenly descended either.
Miss Cooper?
Yes. Things are a bit busy on my end. I apologize. I'm not certain if Isabella has mentioned anything before, but we're working together on a property at the moment, and...
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes. She said something about that earlier. Is there a problem?
This is about Isabella, actually.
She wastes no time relaying everything. The details she provided are, admittedly, a bit vague, but enough for me to get the gist of what happened. It isn't the bad sort I'm expecting, just still worrying. Especially with words, panic attack, and Bear looking a bit sickly, woven together in one foreboding sentence. But as quickly as it surfaces, it stormed down on the urge to demand answers, right there and then. Now isn't the proper time for useless questions. I'll find out soon enough, regardless. To Miss Cooper's credit, she neither hesitates nor falters all throughout. There's some sort of comfort in knowing Isabella has someone like her to guide her, though not as much as I would have liked. After all, this is Isabella we're talking about. What are the chances she just said a bunch of excuses so she won't get sent home? High. Very high. Oh, she's so going to hear it this time.
You were listed as one of her emergency contacts, so I thought it'd be best you know about this.
How is she? Is she doing okay?
I had her take a break for now, but honestly, I'd feel better if someone were to pick her up and take her home for some rest. Antham's a fair distance from Luxbourne. I really don't want her going off on her own. I'd do it myself, but oh, you know how it is today. Big day. People everywhere until the open house ends. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, Miss Gales. I know you're busy.
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just about to leave from work. I hope to leave early today anyway. A few minutes ahead wouldn't hurt. I can be there in a few, 40 minutes tops. Is that all right?
More than fine, Miss Gales, thank you. We're supposed to be here until... Oh, excuse me. One moment, please. Yes, ma'am.
The faint hum of conversations echoes from her end. It sounds as though the place is buzzing with more people than you'll expect from a regular open house. I was skeptical at first. The house is old, not to mention its inconvenient location in Luxbourne's outskirts. Who wants to live in a place almost an hour's drive away from the comforts of the city? But from what little I can hear, it appears Isabella has every right to be optimistic about the sale. If I didn't understand why she was so adamant refusing my offer of help before, I think I do now. to some degree.
We'll be resuming the tour soon. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. I really need to get this thing going. Lord knows how I'll salvage the situation here. It shouldn't be anything complicated, but still, clients. It can be difficult when they want to be. Anyway, just look for me when you get here, alright? I shouldn't be too hard to miss.
No problem. Thanks for letting me know about this. Just make sure Isabella stays put, please. Heaven knows how stubborn that girl can be.
Oh, believe me, I know. Don't worry about it. I'll have a few of our staff keep an eye on her for me until you get here.
That's all I'm asking. I appreciate it.
The whole thing ends on a surprisingly pleasant note. If only the same can be said for the news she brought. I allowed a brief minute to pass, to ease whatever tension has latched itself firmly to my nerves. But no matter how much I wish for it, my mind stubbornly refuses to do so. My hands are unsteady against the papers I pretend to arrange after. Lucid thoughts, every single ounce of it grimmer than the other, grows with each passing second I linger. Something about this whole thing, along with the sudden unease and nagging worry, screams off. Wrong. This isn't the riveting tale I've hoped to step into today. Even on a rush, getting everything in order before leaving takes nearly a good quarter hour. But the time I make it out of the classroom, the commotion has already died down, dwindling to mere echoes and distant laughters. From the nearby room, melodies from a rehearsing band twist freely into the air, filling the almost empty hallway with their warm, lively tunes. Any other day, I'll stop, bask in the music, and enjoy what little peace it brings. Not today, however. My steps are brisk, and sure as I march to endure Edward Hall's exit. The sooner I confirm Isabel's okay, the sooner I can shake off this nicketing feeling. For one reason or another, that single call, of all possible things, has thrown everything off kilter. I'd rather this be over with as quickly as possible. So much that I nearly barrel over a student in my haste. Though perhaps it's really the other way around. When I look down, a set of eyes, bright and hopeful, stare back at me. Her arms are wrapped around my waist like a vice, and at my attention a grin spreads over her face.
Buenas tardes, Miss Pink.
Hello, Kylie. You know, you aren't supposed to run into people like that.
Sorry, Miss Pink.
She loosens her hold on me, but not a hint of guilt or regret appears on her. If anything, it seems the remark only amused her. A smile appears on my face before I can help it, matching the one on her own.
Just remember not to do it again, all right? You could get hurt.
You sound like my mama when she's scolding Rowan, Miss Pink.
I'm sure your mama only means well. I know she'll be worried sick if one of you were to get hurt. Where's your brother anyway? Aren't you two supposed to be heading home now?
Rowan said he's got some stuff he needs to do before we go. I think he's taking too long. But he promised to buy me jelly babies today if I keep what he's doing a secret from Mama and Papa.
Bribery.
Any chance you'll tell Miss Pink about it?
Aw. She shakes her head, both her hands going to her mouth as if to keep a precious secret from spilling out.
I made a promise. He said it's for Tia Luke.
Oh,
Aw.
something like a gift?
Like a dare.
A dare.
He'll promise to take him somewhere cool when he's old enough. Rowan's gonna prove he's a grown-up.
Laughter slips free from my lips. The teacher in me wants to give whoever this Dio is a reprimand for bringing about this kind of behavior in children. But if both Sorara's kids are so fond of him, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. Yes? At any rate, they're nothing but well behaved, both Carly and her brother. Rowan, the eldest, may have an occasional odd streak in and out of class, but her parents taught him well, I see no reason to cast any suspicion of bad behavior on him.
As long as it isn't anything dangerous, all right?
It's not. Cross my heart. My drawings are a lot prettier than what he's doing anyway. Tio said so. Do you want to see? I drew one earlier at class.
Is that why you're here?
Not really. I was gonna show it to my friend first. But since it's you, I'm sure she wouldn't mind if you see it before she does.
Oh, oh no. I can't stay right now, Kylie.
Her face falls immediately after the words are out. A small part of me feels responsible for that crestfallen look. But as much as I want to stay a little longer, there's another place I need to be at right now. And frankly, not a child to look after. Taking both of her hands, I kneel in front of her, must the most rueful smile I can give. At her age, I'm quite sure she already understands what I'm about to say before they're even out. But remarkably, she doesn't look away or pout as I'm expecting her to.
I'm sorry. You know what? Rowan has a class with me on Monday around this time. Why don't you drop by again next week? After class? I'll even make sure to wait for you. It's just that I absolutely must leave now. My friend had an accident earlier, and I'm the only one she has here.
What about her mama and papa?
Her family lives really far from here, I'm afraid. Do you remember where Asia is? The southeast part? That's where they are.
Her eyes immediately light up at my question. Just like that. I know I've earned the girl's forgiveness.
Oh, just like Takako.
Who?
My friend. She said she used to live there, only just a little higher than southeast. But she hasn't come home in a long time, so she doesn't remember much about it anymore. Melody says it's weird I talked to her, but I think she's just shy. They could be good friends too! Don't you think so, Miss Pink?
Maybe if you introduce them properly, they will be.
That's what I think. Takako's just lonely. If she makes more friends, she won't be anymore. Is your friend like that too?
A little, possibly. To be honest, sometimes I can't tell with her.
After all, Isabella has always been the kind to hold a smile, even when things have taken a turn for the worse. 5 years, and one will think it's enough time to know a person. But when you consider it, come to think of it, all these years, I've never, not even once, seen her cry. Not over a trivial matter or even when things are tough.
Okay, you can go to her. I'll just show you my drawing next time.
Thank
Aw,
you.
sweet Kylie.
Remind me to buy you a huge glass of parfait, all right?
No, I'll get a stomachache. Takako says so. A small one is okay.
I'll remember that. Say hi to your friend for me.
I will. I'm sure she'd love to meet you too. See you, Miss Pink.
I'll see you later, Kylie.
London Bridge is falling down.
She doesn't look back or wait for any sort of goodbye from me. With a song and an extra spring in her steps, she bounds across the corridors with as much spirit only a child her age can have. As if the conversation has never taken any downhill turn for her at all. As if there isn't a single thing to worry about in the world. Not long after, she disappears behind the door, leaving behind strains of an old, familiar rhyme lingering in the air. Carefree, unbidden, untroubled moments like this, I envy her. And as I resume my hurried pace, a tiny whisper at the back of my mind wishes the same can be said of myself and my own worries. Luxbourne may be a small city, but it's no stranger to a hellish rush hour traffic. But surprisingly, getting out of the city today proves more of a breeze than a hassle. A relief, considering how none of my calls to Isabella have made it through. Either the reception is really bad over there, or she's ignoring them on purpose. Both does nothing to ease her disquiet in me. The rest of my drive passes without much incident as soon as I'm out the busy streets. In less than 30 minutes the mansion looms ahead of me. For all the fuss Isabella made about the house, it remains a thing of beauty. Unlike Luxbourne, the city and the nearby Anston village stand as its complete opposite, living and breathing the songs of the old, whispers of a once booming haven lingering in the air. Contemporary convenience aside, it's a place I'm glad modernization hasn't wholly touched.
It's just a shame the locals know more of the silly hearsay than the history itself. If I could only knock some sense into these people!
Sadly, complaining is all I can afford to. As much as I want to give them a piece of my mind, it isn't why I am here. I don't think these rich types will appreciate getting a lecture from me either. I have as much business with them as they have with me. With a heavy sigh, I give myself one last second to take in the scenery before heading up to the main entrance. Most of the guests are already heading out, though some still linger. It's mainly just to take photos of the house, facade, or its various rooms. I pause for a moment, scanning the small crowd gathered at the foyer, looking for any sign of the familiar ponytail among the sea of hats and heads.
No sign of her.
No sign of the other staff of Miss Cooper either. I can certainly look for Isabella on my own, but in the place is big. I'd be lucky if I didn't end up lost or find her before we need to meet with Zacharias and Ash tonight. I reach my mobile and redial her number, the gesture familiar now after so many attempts earlier. If she doesn't answer, I can still try contacting Miss Cooper. I just hope the network reception will cooperate this time. This side of the country has never been popular with the tech-savvy, after all. To my relief, it only took 3 unsuccessful tries. There's a fourth one, right as it's about to switch another intercept message, the line finally rings. Silence follows while I wait for her to pick up. The ring going far too long for my tastes. By now, most of the visitors have already cleared out. All I have for company are the faint murmurs and the eerie calmness left in their wake. A sudden hush settles and gives way to noise louder than they are ever meant to be. Doors creaking and slamming shut in some distant part of the mansion. Floorboards groaning under the sheer weight of the house's history. In the now empty hall, they all reverberate with special clarity against the walls. Like this, these old stories seem to almost have a ring of truth to it. I get a straight find of the ugly line of thought, however. 1 second later, a click sounds from the other end.
Hello? Isabella? Miss Cooper called earlier and... Isabella?
Not Isabella.
Belle? Are you alright?
Without any warning, the call gets cut off. Busy notes blare sharply against the heavy silence. But above the noise cutting through the mute air remains the faint cries of a woman. From beyond the foyer, my hand falls on my side as I cast a wary look around, waiting for someone to come running. Surely I can't be the only one here hearing this. There must still be some staff hanging around, checking things out, no? But no one does. Not even when her sobs turn more frantic and anguished.
Excuse me? Hello? Who's there? Isabella? Isabella? Is that you?
No answer. Growing anxious, I amble over where her cries come from, each step slow and cautious, towards the door on the other end of the room. While I am far from someone who readily gives into fear or stories lacking factual basis, the vague, restless feeling I had earlier immediately returns to me. And despite myself, my heart begins to race and my breathing quickens.
Belle? Belle, it's me. Miss Cooper called. Is everything okay?
Abruptly, all of it stops. My whole body tenses, mouth dragging in a ragged breath, ears straining for any other sounds yet to come from the other side. But nothing follows. Instead, the quiet only lends itself to the heavy tension in the air, as if Every small movement will disturb the fragile stillness hanging in the room. I wait for another second. No, then with a caution I reach for the knob. Don't do it. My fingers barely graze the brass handle when a hand falls on my shoulder.
Excuse me, ma'am? I am so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you.
Thanks for
No,
rescue, Rose.
It's
Still reading, my gaze shifts back to the door, as if any second now the cries will start again, or whoever inside will burst out of the room. But I don't get to dwell on these. The woman's worried voice breaks through the haze in my mind again, oddly soothing in the thick of my unease. Even if the concerned look comes from a total stranger, finally being in the company of someone else is somehow comforting.
Ma'am? Are you okay?
oh no, I'm fine. This is probably just some cold.
Do you need to sit down?
No need. I'm actually looking for a friend.
I wave the mobile in front of her, like the gesture alone explains everything. Vaguely I note my tie clip on it and quickly slip it into my pocket before she notices. She doesn't need to know.
Well, I'm not really sure if your friend would still be here. We're actually about to close the open house in a few minutes, ma'am.
No worries. She's not a guest here. She works for Briar Realty. Miss Cooper called me earlier. In fact, I'm also looking for her.
Found her. Recognition flashes in her eyes, and her worried expression dissolves into a smile at once. It's all I need to know that I don't have to look elsewhere, or venture deep into the mansion on my own. In some way, I'm not too keen on the latter right now.
Oh, Miss Rebecca Gales, is it?
Yes. Sorry if I'm a bit late.
It's not a problem. I was busy with the open house and a few clients anyway. It's actually a good thing you came when you did. Let's see. Isabella should be here somewhere. I told her to stay put earlier. That girl never listens.
Rose? Rosie? May I have a minute? There's just this one little thing before we go.
Miss Cooper's head immediately snaps up at the voice. In a blink, a different kind of smile spreads on her face. A smile still, friendly even, but the kind given mainly for the sake of pleasing other people rather than making friends.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there in a few.
It's an impressive thing, to say the least. That level of professionalism. I suppose working years in this kind of business trains you enough to be able to pull that off without batting an eye. It certainly didn't seem to have rubbed off on Isabella at all.
Sorry, could you give me a second? I have to take care of this.
Don't worry about it. I understand. I can wait a few more minutes. Clients, right?
You won't hear anything from me. Priorities, you know? But if you want, you can stay at the parlor in the meantime. I think we have a few refreshments left.
No, thank you. I'm going out with a few friends after this. Isabella's supposed to join us too. But that depends on how she's doing, of course.
Alright, this won't be long, I promise.
You gonna leave me alone again? She throws me an apologetic look before sauntering over to a small group gathered at the entrance. A couple, all siblings. Not a woman, probably their secretary. Either way, they look no different from the other guests. All three of them primly dressed, albeit in a manner significantly simpler than the others. No frills, no extravagance of any form. But their gestures and movements alone speak volumes of their ingrained lifestyle. In their presence, I do what I can to appear inconspicuous on my side of the foyer. Maybe accepting Mrs. Cooper's offer would have been a much better choice than standing around awkwardly and gaping at them. All while also attempting my best not to listen in on their conversation, although that one proves more difficult with how enthusiastic the blonde woman is. Her voice easily echoes through the walls with only the 5 of us here. Pretty soon, I found myself being drawn into their talk without meaning to.
Tomorrow? First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, ma'am.
The mundane talk isn't what catches my attention, however.
Very well. We'll have our lawyers prepare everything as soon as possible. Let's make this whole thing easier for everyone, shall we? Just let me know if there's anything you need from me. You know how to contact me, yes?
Got your mobile number saved here already.
Good. It's just a matter of time then.
It's a brief moment, a fleeting shift of my eye.
Monday for us, Marianne.
As long as you're positive, we won't be having any problems by that time. You can count on my team.
You worry too much. Let me handle those things. Do be thrilled, though. I imagine it's not every day you get projects like this, hmm?
And the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it. There's a dark blue again.
Oh, I'm certain it's ecstatic, Buttercup. Aren't you, Marianne? You know, we could all celebrate this with a few drinks. Why don't we? In fact, there's this really excellent Irish pub I visited a few days ago.
Looming. Oh, he's so mean. Hovering over his shoulders. But could it be because of him being haunted, you think? Drawn to him like a moth to a flame. A dark blur. No. A shadow?
I think I'll pass on that, sir. I have more important matters to attend to.
Darling, your liver. You already had a glass today, and apparently a few days ago as well. How many times do we have to remind you? Doctor's orders, remember?
Such a shame.
She's really sucked in that dark shadow thing behind him, since she cannot really hear everyone clearly.
You never let me do anything fun.
But as I try to make sense of it, a heavy feeling descends over my whole body. It happens without warning, forcing me to close my eyes. The sensation creeps to every part of me, crawling on my skin and draining me little by little of my only strength. Before I know it, my hand is gripping the nearby door for support. The sudden nausea drowns out their voices and what little sound there is, all except for the whispers and laughters, judging, mocking, taunting, muffled, inaudible words bearing down on me like a death sentence, to wrap around my neck and limbs, binds tightening with every syllable, every utterance. And with each draw of breath I take, they drag me down slowly, almost painfully into a bottomless abyss. On and on and on, till the sounds turn into mere distant echoes, until suddenly it shatters.
Well, what are we waiting for? Are we done here?
His voice rips through the fog like a sharp blade, and my eyes snap open. When I look to them again, it's gone.
Just a second, darling. Send my regards to Isabel, please. Poor girl. Please let her know she doesn't have to worry and tell her to get some rest. Anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Likewise, ma'am.
No shadows or dark clouds. Only amicable smiles and cordial handshakes. The usual pleasantries as Miss Cooper leads them out the mansion like a graceful host. None of the group seems to have noticed it, and even as I force my breathing to calm down, keep my eyes strained on their backs, and wait for something to happen, it doesn't come back. She returns a moment later. Gently, she closes the great doors behind her, but there's a smile on her lips and an extra skip in her step when she walks back to me. Whatever she was discussing with the group had put her in a good mood. Even she appears to have not observed anything odd. Was I just seeing things?
Glad that was over. It's been a long day. I thought for sure we were going to... Hey, are you sure you're doing okay? You look a bit green.
It's all good. I'm actually still recovering from a cold. Weather's been crazy lately.
That must be it. The weather, the stupid cold, and the friendly warnings I'm too stubborn to listen to. As much as I hate to admit it, Isabella's right. I was and still am a little feverish when she visited me at school this morning. The medicine helped, of course, but only some. Although it's not like I can't function. It did get better after lunch, and I was able to go through my schedule like the usual. Now I'm not sure. However, I can keep acting like I've seen some sort of apparition when it's anything but. I simply must have listened too many times to Isabella's last week. My fever-muddled mind has started to confuse things. If this doesn't let up, I just need another visit to my doctor. Plain and simple. Though I do hope it won't get worse. Why, we did promise to watch Zachary's film together.
I know what you mean. I've been complaining to Isabel. It doesn't seem to affect her much, though. Must be because she grew up in the tropics. Anyway, shall we? She's probably hanging out with the rest of the catering staff.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised she's there. She eats like 10 hungry men when she isn't feeling well. Lead the way.
Healthy appetite. With a small nod, she gestures for me to follow. I do so without much thought, finally putting everything in the back of my mind. The entire visit took a whole 24 minutes. And my trip to the mansion, as it turns out, is as usual as endeavour in itself. Isabella's no longer there, left shortly before I arrived. Or at least that's what the few staff who saw her assumed. And that's why she got so mad when she saw her. None of them knew where she went, but I can take a few guesses. There are only a number of places in Luxbourne she frequents, and, well, she never been the complex kind. It doesn't really take a genius to figure it out. Still, it's odd she left on her own. She could have at least waited for Miss Cooper. Would have saved her having to pay the cab's fare twice a day.
And right after she was told to stay put. I mean, who does that? Oh, sod off! You don't own the road!
She's in a bad mood. In the end, all Miss Cooper could give me were a string of apologies for my trouble, and regrets to let her know when I find Isabella. The whole affair didn't even last long. I probably spent more time travelling back and forth. Soon enough, I'm weaving my way back to downtown Luxbourne, where it's sick, and on top of that, maybe a little annoyed. Well, yeah, she went to pick up Isabella, worried about her, she's okay, and then she's gone. Even Rose didn't know where she went to. So yeah, she's probably worried that something happened to her friend. Whether at the unexpected turn of events or at Isabella herself, I do not think about right now. Not when I'm already running late for Zachary's film. Besides, I'm perfectly sure that's where I'll find her. As one would expect, people already gathered at the movie house when I get it. The small avenue where it's located has been closed off early from any passing traffic, to making way for the avid moviegoers who are sure to crowd the venue. I have to park almost a street away and walk the remaining distance because of it. Looking for them has taken a while and the crowd is big, but I eventually spot them near the entrance. Thanks to Zachary mostly. And like I've surmised, Isabella's with them.
I knew it.
Wasting no time, I march over their little group. I don't think Isabella knew that Rose called her. I can't remember, can you? Words filled with concern tumbled out of my mouth before I can stop myself.
Isabella! Oh, thank goodness! Becca, you're just in time.
An odd expression crosses her face as I hold it with both hands. But I ignore it in the favor of getting a good look at her, forcing her to keep still and fix her gaze at me.
Becca, you're squishing my face.
How are you? Are you alright?
Why wouldn't I be?
There doesn't seem to be any visible injury, nor does she appear to be in pain. Apart from her confused, thrown at my questions, she looks pretty much like how she would any other day. Even so, you can't really tell those things with her at first glance. The last time she got sick, she never bothered to call anyone, even me, who lives right next door. If I hadn't checked on her then, she probably would have died on her bed with the rest of us none the wiser. I think that's a bit of reacting, but it's one thing we laugh about now, but moments like those also teaches you something about a person. If anything, it's given me more reason to constantly worry about her. And the moment a familiar name comes up, I know my concerns right now aren't completely baseless.
Rose called me earlier.
Her expression swiftly changes, and gently as she can, Isabella pushes my hand away. Yet even before she says anything, I already have a hunch how this whole thing will play out.
Oh, no, everything's good. Rose covered for me at work today.
That's not what I'm talking about. How's your head?
Then and there, the whole conversation goes down as I've imagined. She touches my hand when I reach for the back of her head, intending to check the slight injury myself. Even makes a show of hiding behind the secretary just to avoid me. Instantly, what's supposed to be a simple inquiry dissolves into a shameless game of tag. Shouting and chasing, like none of us can be bothered to act like the full-grown adults we're all supposed to be, including Ashton. I won't put it past Isabella, but Ash? Of everyone. In fact, if that stupid smirk on his face tells me anything, he finds his home as amusing. Oh, for the love of...
Isabella, this isn't a laughing matter.
She did look pale when I saw her.
Wow, thanks a lot, Ashton, you traitor. I'll get you back for this, just you wait.
What? I'm just saying it as it is. If you mentioned this earlier, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
There's a moment's pause. My hand stills mid-air as my attention shifts to Ashton, and the words he leaves hanging between the four of us. He doesn't meet my eye. I don't think he's even aware of what he said. But the meaning in each syllable alone is clear. And they echo. They sting. They burn.
I'm sorry. Saw her?
Yeah, they arrived together. Bella looked fine to me then. I don't know.
Of course. Of course! Why else would Isabella leave on her own after being told to stay put? After a little chat about money this morning. I remember he was waiting in the mansion. I forgot about her. Something close to silence falls while I mull over their words. Both what's already been said and what's left unspoken. When I do find my voice, it only reeks of nothing but bitter, unpleasant thoughts. Thoughts are quickly stamped out before the surface. Thoughts I hide the best I can in the deepest part of our mind, locking it away for no one to see.
Oh, that's good. At least she didn't have to travel alone, right? At least. Good.
Yet, try as it might, the green-eyed monster easily rears its ugly head. She's jealous. Like it always does every time his gaze lingers a second longer. Every time he smiles in a manner far too gentle, far too sincere, wherever he thinks no one else can see. Every time your mind suggests his words mean more than they should. Every small, little thing. Despite what he says, despite his tone.
Look, you guys.
For all I know, it may just be the same kind of fondness born from friendship. Maybe I'm simply overthinking like he often tells me. Or maybe there really is something there. But in his short display of impatience, I know the whole of it is just for show. After all, growing up together with him didn't teach me nothing about him. For whose sake it is this time, Tor? For him? For Zachary? For her? Or for me? That I can't tell.
If she says she's okay, then there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can stop her either. Besides, she's still acting like the same old Isabella to me, if she can still run around like that.
Why are you taking her side?
I'm not. But if she wants to watch Zach's movie with us, I'm not going to stop her. She's probably the one looking forward to it the most.
Ash, that's... You, of all people, should know...
Tell you what, if I notice something amiss with her, I'll take her to the nearest hospital myself. Is that good enough for you?
My mouth opens to snap shut almost as quickly, forming a thin hard line instead. I can't respond. Not because there's nothing to say. On the contrary, there's plenty. So many things I can use to reason and get him to agree. But because he speaks with much certainty, with much reassurance, it feels like there isn't even a choice. All I can give is a long, deep breath and a reluctant nod in the face of it. Before I can get a grip of myself and my own weakness, the mood immediately shifts and I'm being tackled into a hug.
Thanks, Becca. It's always been you with him, isn't it? Did you say something? Me? Nothing. Don't mind me.
A lie, obviously. What else can it be? It's got a love triangle going on. Each and every smile, a tiny effort to keep things as they are. Or so I tell myself. Little do I know, this is merely a preamble. It starts out quietly and without fanfare, amidst friendly jibes and harmless teasing, with a scrap of paper fluttering harmlessly to the ground. One that looks suspiciously like a cheap Halloween prank, no matter how you look at it. And yet, despite how ludicrous it all is, Isabella stubbornly insists, as if our whole life depends on acknowledging the truth in her story. Does she even realizes how absurd she sounds now? Griffins, even my students wouldn't fall for this.
Isabella, aren't you taking this a bit too far?
She doesn't give me time to regret nor think over my choice of words. From there, it escalates, grows into an argument too petty even for our standards as adults. Before we know it, one after another, harsh, scratching words are being spoken.
It's not a joke! Will you guys listen to me first? I saw something in the house earlier. It stood right in front of me. If I hadn't gotten away, that thing might have...
Right. And in broad daylight, Isabella. Even someone gullible would find the logic in that screwed up. There's also no way in hell that this supernatural shit is true.
But it's real! What do you think I saw?
A hallucination? A delusion? Didn't you say you fell down some stairs? So maybe Rebecca's right.
It happened after, when I was trying to get away. I almost got stuck in the same room with that thing. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
But someone has to be patient all this. And however much my own has already been frayed earlier, there's no one else. Who else here can deal with someone selfishly acting like a kid? Like every other time, it has to be me.
We are, and you know that. But this thing and that thing has got nothing to do with the other. When Rose called earlier, I thought she's just exaggerating. But based on what I'm seeing right now, maybe it's better if we really postpone this for now.
Don't bother.
Just like that, she cuts us off. Slams the door right on our faces while my own temper flares before I can stop it. I thought it falters briefly at a hard expression on her when she snatches the blasted paper from Ashton. I hold on to it. Regardless of how upset she appears, soured expression and balled fists. Throwing a tantrum is simply unacceptable. Or the teacher in her is coming up. For a grown woman at that. Words form at the tip of my tongue, ready. But before I can open my mouth and let all of it out, her feelings and mistakes be damned, Zachary raises a voice of his own.
Guys!
A warning underneath the warm and hopeful beat in his voice. We all stop and look to him, and even my own anger subsides a little at his tone.
Why don't we all calm down first? I'm sure Isabella has her reasons too. No need to be hard on her. And hey, ain't this supposed to be a happy get-together?
To an outsider, it may sound like a desperate request, but Zachary has always been the one to level head over petty squabbles. This time no different. He knows what to say. When he lets it fall, the only ring sharp and true.
We haven't seen each other for months. I'd really love to know what y'all have been up to. I only ever get to talk to Bella over chat. please.
And as careful as he is with his own tone, it does make me feel ashamed. We're supposed to be here for him, give what little support we can give. Yet here he is, trying to keep three stubborn people from outright hashing it out in public. Later, we can and will talk about it, of course. There's a proper time and place for it, and at the moment, my anger and whatever reprimands it carries no longer matter. Beside me, Ashton appears to have already caught on. The lines of his shoulders ease to something much more relaxed, his expression back to its usual nonchalance. Isabella, however. She stands perfectly still, her hands clasping the straps of her bag like a lifeline, eyes strained at some point near her shoes. There's no anger in her face, only an undeniable hurt. But she's never been good at hiding what she thinks. Always open book, always the one to wear her heart out in the open. And when she looks up, her answer is also as simple.
If we keep arguing here, we're going to miss the first few minutes.
Her lips are curled up in a smile. Though lacking both its usually brightness and glee, it's a smile nonetheless. I've seen countless of times. It's the very same one she would show when she knows has no other choice. Or simply when things get tough for her. But despite everything I already know about her, it still catches me off guard. In all honesty, I expected her to run, to balk at the first sign of losing this time. I wouldn't even be surprised. At 26, she is the youngest among the rest of us. Less experienced, less accustomed to dealing with trivial quarrels like this. Yet here she is, holding herself and coping with it like how she would with matters concerning her family. Outside of that, to me, she has always been this childish, naive girl, and watching the opposite play out right now. Somehow, I find it difficult to wrap my head around it.
Alright, that's the Isabella I know.
Oh, good. I thought for sure you were going to cry.
But I envy her.
What was that for?
Stop calling me a crybaby! I'm not one!
Aw, don't cry.
Stop it!
I envy her spirit, her warmth, her cheer, the shine in her eyes when she looks at the world. How everything seems to simply fall back to a pleasant, lively rhythm with her around. How easily and tightly she fits into our lives, even without the bonds only long years could forge, like a lost piece of a puzzle, spider-jagged edges. How she draws people to her with ease. How Ashton, of all people, can be drawn to her.
Okay, scaredy cat then.
That too! If you repeat that, I swear I'll... Let's just go.
I make no effort keeping the bitterness from my tone. I let it seep, linger stiffly in the air as I avert my gaze from them. From their playful banter, their friendly teasing remarks, and Ashton's tender, affectionate smiles. All before the stabbing aches in my heart change into something too painful to bear. It's all in my head, so that I often tell myself. Yet the way my heart runs at just the sight of them hurts. And like a coward I walk away from all of it, taking with me a small hope the movie will distract me away from these thoughts. Because like this, it's easy to find something to hate in her. Dusk has already given way tonight when we leave the film fest. Unfortunately, it does nothing to improve my mood like I'm hoping. And it does the muggy air that greets us upon stepping back into the noisy streets. Too busy, too loud, too many people taking what little space the sidewalk offers. It forces anyone to bump shoulders with those they barely know, that they don't care about. On a normal evening, I probably wouldn't have minded the crowd, not a helmet feather. It's not like any of them are bothering anyone. And yet, even with what's admittedly a pleasant company, I can bring myself to lighten up.
So you got some other time?
Yeah, See ya!
But even to return the smiles Ashton and Zachary gives us when we go our separate ways. Perhaps this start with Miss Cooper called, or earlier than that. Maybe even the moment I left bed this morning. Bloody hell, it could have been because of that solid letter, for all I know. I couldn't care less at this point. All I want is to get a warm bath, sleep and wait for this dreadful day to end. Now if only Isabel would stop babbling, then maybe this dull dropping at the side of my head won't turn into a full-blown headache too.
Zach did a pretty good job with his movie, didn't he? Even though Ash said he ran into some trouble late into filming. But I knew he had it in him. It's not like I didn't believe he couldn't do it. I mean, did you see his face after the credits rolled? All those months he worked on this, and everything's finally...
You weren't even watching.
Only the first minutes. I watched the rest of it, I swear. Besides, Ashton was the one who wouldn't stop asking questions.
Well, why do we still need to talk about this then? I liked it. Ash liked it. You liked it. Shouldn't you be telling that to Zachary in person? I'm sure he'll appreciate it better than I ever will.
I know that, but maybe there's something you want to say? Zach had you check the scripts before he went through everything, didn't he? You also worked on it, even if it was only for a short time. So, maybe you want to...
I don't bother waiting for the rest. The moment I spot my car, I immediately make a quick beeline for it. Knowing her, this is merely another attempt at starting a conversation, just so we'll have something to fill the dead air, to replace the strained atmosphere we've somehow walked into. One thing, the very thing I'm not too keen to deal with at present. Behind me, Isabella also changes her pace to watch mine, her soft strides growing brisk and uneven in order to catch up. A small part of me half expected she'd suddenly trip. She's not the clumsy sort, but there are definitely times when she can be the least coordinated person on the planet.
Becca, hey! Oh no. Wait for me!
And people wonder why I worry. They're not really completely unfounded. Once you've grown familiar with her habits. Right now, it is also at the very end of the list of things I want to think about. Sometimes it does become overbearing. Even her voice as she calls after me sounds something more than background noise to my ears now.
Rebecca, slow down, will you? Your car's not going to leave without us.
The sooner we get on the road, the earlier we can get home. It's Friday, in case you didn't notice.
She sure is grumpy.
I know what day it is, but the traffic's not going to magically disappear, even if we go there right now.
I don't want to hear that from you.
Very grumpy.
Didn't you used to complain how horrendous the traffic is back home for you?
Yeah? But that doesn't have anything to do with this, Becca.
Okay. What do you want to do then? Wait it out? Walk? I just want to go home, Isabella. If you want to stay out here longer, I won't stop you. But leave me out of it. I'm not up for any other foolish excursions tonight.
I wasn't thinking about an excursion. I want to go home too. It's already late. It's just that you've been in this prickly mood since earlier.
Very prickly mood.
Are you really okay? Was it the cold? Or did something happen at school? Do you want to talk about it?
I'm not sure she's gonna. A long pause follows and holds everything she's been meaning to ask from the very start. I'm in no mood, but all the same, my hand stops short of unlocking my car, and my grip on the handle tightens. I can feel her eyes boring on me, waiting, hoping patiently for any answers I'd give. She's the same as Zachary. They're bad liars. But when you talk to people like them, if you're not careful, they often leave you with no other choice but to admit the truth. those exact same ones I can voice. Despite my lack of response, she pushes on, surprisingly. This time her tone is quieter, more tentative than usual.
Was it because of the letter?
It's a well-meaning question, much like the rest of this talk, yet something in how she says it irks me.
If it is, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I did see something in the mansion, though. I wasn't lying about that.
Wherever she wants to take this, I no longer want to hear a word of it. Not this minute. Preferably never. Especially when there are already a million other things buzzing and prodding inside my head. Sometimes some patience can only be tried for so long. But you know... She's still Mother Hento. She's not going to want to hurt her. She's bottling up things, I think, which will make her explode one day. That's why talking's good. I'm not going to snap at her. We aren't going to. Don't like lying either, but it's a white lie, isn't it?
And during the open house, even if there were a lot of people around, there were weird things happening. I don't know if there was anyone else who noticed, but I heard things. I'm sure it wasn't because I fell down the stairs. Even before that, in the attic,
Isabella?
Yeah?
A pause. I don't let it last. I only give myself a small window to breathe, before I lay down the words between us with as much restraint my patience allows. Which is not much after everything. I can only hope Isabella will simply take them as they are. She can be stubborn as a mule when she wants to be. Only her?
This kind of conversation tonight. Look, it's been a long day. I think this cold also caught up with me, and I'm really exhausted. Can we talk about this some other time?
She blinks, and although disappointment flashes momentarily on her face, she gives me a curt nod. A relief enough for me, perhaps the first time I genuinely feel it today. As unpleasant as this day has been, seeing something go the way I've anticipated takes the edge out of it. Even if lying through my teeth had to go with it.
Oh, alright. You should have just said so. I told you you should have taken a full week off. Were you able to get the meds I brought you, though? Do you need anything? I could drop by the pharmacy for you.
Yeah, no need to fuss. A good night's sleep is all I need. I've been busy the whole day. I guess I should have listened to you and taken it easy. But we have exams to prepare for. It's one or the other, you know?
I knew it! Here I thought you were just upset about something. Even Ash looked a little bit worried about you.
It's fine. Let's just head home, okay? I'll make it up to you next time. Call me out to lunch or wherever, just... not right now.
Okay, but should you be driving? If you want, I can call a taxi for us. You'll hate paying the extra fees, but you'll be able to get some rest on the way home.
No, don't call a cab. I can manage driving at least. Just get in the car so we can be on our way.
I'm already opening the door and climbing into the seat before she can protest. Left with no other choice, she follows inside shortly, albeit with a bit of reluctance. The guilt from this will eat at me later, but for now, these little falsehoods are mine to bear and hide under. For now, this is the better choice. Better than pretending she doesn't exist or giving her fake answers. Certainly better than harsh words and outright lashing out at her. I can find a little comfort in that. Thankfully, if there's anything left to be spoken between us after, we won't have to discuss it on the way home. Or rather, we can't. because no sooner than we hit the road, thought I heard someone snoring, Isabella dozes off. Despite my foul mood, I still end up suppressing laughter once the first sounds of her breathing fill the car.
Mama?
Not your mom, Isabella.
Slow and steady, the quiet rhythm so completely unlike her, so far removed from every impression anyone has of her. A few faint whimpers will occasionally come from her, but otherwise it's just us, the silence, and it's so utterly unexpected. Still a welcome break, of course. Peace and quiet is one thing you'll rarely get with her around. Yet it's nowhere near comforting. It merely lends the air this strange clarity, every little sound, every single movement more palatable. And with it comes the unease. A little surprise hits me. It's almost comical if this were a different situation. In my haste, I accidentally dislodged my mobile from its seat on the dashboard when I swiped on the screen. Soon I'm scrambling blindfolded for my held hand while keeping a steady eye on the road ahead. A voice crackles on the loudspeakers before I can put it back. Although muffled heavily by the surface, I recognize the person on the other line from her chipper tone alone.
Hello?
Miss Cooper?
Oh, you're still awake. Evening. I hope I didn't disturb you or anything. I know it's a bit late. Sorry about that. I just want to check on you and Isabella. That girl's still not answering her mobile. Were you able to meet up with her?
Yes. She's with me. We're on our way home.
Hello? What was that again? I can't hear you properly.
Sorry. Let me just fix this dumb phone.
My hand stops dead for a moment. I spare the device a brief glance, waiting. Seconds pass. Nothing happens to. Frankly, I'm not sure what I'm expecting, but the lines of my mouth forms into a frown regardless.
Miss Cooper?
Yes, still here.
Did you say something?
Just that I didn't get the last part. What were you saying again?
No, I thought you... Never mind. Must be the signal acting up. Come again?
What?
Is everything all right over there?
Certainly. Is something wrong? What wouldn't? Okay, you seem to be busy. If this is a good time, I can just call you back some...
I have to make a conscious effort not to panic right then and there. Although my tight hold on the steering wheel tells a different story altogether.
Miss Cooper? Rose? Hey, Rose! Are you still there?
Only a burst of static answers me, and maybe this lapse is entirely because of exhaustion. It has been a long day and I haven't fully recovered from last week's bout of flu, contrary to what I've been telling people. So perhaps had I paid close attention to it and not been so occupied with other thoughts, I probably would have noticed earlier that it never came from my phone, but from somewhere right behind me. No! Time slows to a crawl. Looking up is a mistake. The first thing I see is its face, a ghastly shape, every inch battered, bruised and bloodied. Even in the darkness and the world passing by in a blur of lights outside, I can still make out the wounds. Blood still oozes from it, little trails of crimson running down its face, glistening on what little light there is. But it's the gleam in its eyes that catches mine. The quiet plea, the anguish and the desperation in them. More than its hideous features and the awful stench of gore now soaking the air. And try as I might, I can't bring myself to look away, even as its lips contoured into a horrific smile. Even as a sharp, harsh noise pierces the air and the silence around us.
Rebecca! Huh? Car! Eyes on the road!
Against everything I've been taught and I've constantly reminded myself, I close my eyes. It's a brief moment. A short, vivid second of muscle memory and instinct completely taking over. And if I didn't allow it, if my hands didn't move, or my feet didn't hit the brakes in that exact second, I might have. Isabella, and I might have. No! I shake the notion away before I lose myself in it. Right now, it's an ugly line of thoughts I refuse to venture into. Not when breathing is a struggle and every ounce of strain has been totally drained from my body. Most definitely not while Isabella's panic voice beside me still rings in my ears. We're alive. We're safe. That's all that matters. What's on her face I look for when I finally open my eyes? All gone. Expected stains, little telling marks and grease on the cover to show me where it sat not a second ago. But whoever, whatever it is, it left not a single trace. And though courage is a hard thing to get at this point, I take what little of it remains in me and turn towards the back seat. Even then, there's none. Or was there really something in there in the first place? With how empty it is, I'm beginning to doubt it. The stupid flu again.
I need a long rest after this.
My hands fall uselessly to my sides, numb from how taut my grip on the wheel has gone, yet still trembling from the unexpected rush of adrenaline. Against my ears, my heart still pounds in erratic rhythm, and my breathing hasn't slowed down. But the world has already righted itself without waiting for me, and little by little, second after second, as I sit here motionless, color begins to seep back around me. Along with it are the sounds and the voice, no longer the indistinct ringing it was earlier.
Rebecca? Becca, are you okay? Answer me, will you? You're scaring me. You know what? I think we should just call a taxi since...
Can you keep it down?
Strained, harsh, and completely unintentional. But with heat pricking at the back of my eyes and the mild dropping at my temple, I could honestly do with a little silence for now.
Keep it down? We almost crashed, Becca!
I know what happened. It was a lapse. I'm sorry.
A lapse? You call that a lapse? Becca, I really don't want to end up a mangled mess on the side of the road, or a mangled mess anywhere. All I'm asking, if the time ever comes, which I hope isn't right now, is a peaceful death. Give that one to me at least. Not that I'm asking for it, but please.
Isabella. Belle, you're overreacting. If you're so worried, why don't you drive?
Don't have a license.
I keep telling you to get one, didn't I? For the past 5 years. Do you see why now?
I wasn't really expecting to stay here this long. I thought it'd just be for a year or two.
All of a sudden, a pensive mood comes over her. Spur looks away then, while what's left of my little lecture never crosses the tip of my tongue. I don't allow it to, because in each of those words she let loose earlier is a small truth. Her stay has always been meant to be something fleeting. Earn some good money, go home. It's what she told herself during her first year here. Now, half a decade later, I'm not sure if she still believes that. Even I'm not sure if I still believe it. And if there's something in her reason that has changed along the way, even if I already have a hunch, it's one thing I'll never bother to ask. Those are hers to keep.
I'll be careful this time, I promise. Just please, can we give this whole thing a rest for now?
She nods, and that is the end of it. We spend the rest of the trip back to Salemville in silence. Utter of an overactive imagination playing tricks on a flu-addled mind, and of smiles never meant for my eyes, abandoned if only for a brief moment,